Welcome to Magnificat TV News, dedicated to offering news of the Church. Today is Wednesday, January 26, 2022. Pope Francis has declared St. Irenaeus of Lyon a doctor of the Church. St. Irenaeus was a great defender of the divinity of Christ and lived in the 2nd century. A report prepared by a law firm appointed by the Diocese of Munich accuses Pope Benedict XVI of tolerating cases of pederasty. Open Doors, an evangelical organization that restores religious freedom in the world, has presented his annual report. 1 out of 7 Christians is persecuted for his faith. French President Macron has assured that he will do his utmost to make abortion a right in the European Union. Cardinal Sandoval has been condemned by the Mexican Supreme Court for making a political statement. St. Irenaeus of Lyon is the new doctor of the Church. He has been proclaimed so by Pope Francis. He lived in the 2nd century and defended the divinity of Christ.
The Pope has named Saint Irenaeus of Lyon Doctor of the Church. He received the proposal from the Congregation for the Causes of Saints, which had been approved by the plenary of the cardinals and bishops of the dicastery. The title given to Saint Irenaeus is Doctor Unitatis, Doctor of Unity. Saint Irenaeus is the 2nd Doctor of the Church proclaimed in this pontificate. In 2015, it was Saint Gregory of Narek. In previous pontificates, Benedict XVI named Saint John of Avila and Saint Hildegard of Bingen Doctors of the Church. Saint John Paul II proclaimed Saint Therese of Lisieux a Doctor of the Church. Saint Paul VI named Saint Teresa of Jesus and Saint Catherine of Siena Doctors of the Church. Saint John XXIII named Saint Lawrence of Brindisi Doctor of the Church, and Pius XII named Saint Anthony of Padua Doctor of the Church.
Pope Benedict XVI has been accused, once again, of tolerating pedophile priests. It is the same accusation that was made against him in 2010 and was already proven to be false.
A law firm paid by the Munich diocese has published a report on pederasty cases in the last 70 years. What has been most striking is the renewed insistence on the responsibility of Benedict XVI for not punishing the guilty priests. It is the same accusation that was made in 2010 for the same cases. Even then, it was proven to be false. The main priest involved was received by Pope Benedict XVI when he was Archbishop of Munich, coming from another diocese, and the latter ordered him to reside in a monastery and not to do pastoral work. After his appointment as prefect of the doctrine of the faith, the Vicar General gave the priest permission to exercise his ministry when Munich was vacant. Subsequently, he again abused minors. When this happened, the Cardinal Ratzinger was no longer in charge of the diocese. The law firm that prepared the report made another report on the Diocese of Cologne, which was dismissed as biased and partial. Because of this, numerous voices have been raised accusing those who have prepared the report and those who pay them of carrying out a hunt against the Pope Emeritus to discredit him.
One out of 7 Christians is persecuted for his faith. These are the data provided by Open Doors, which studies the situation of religious freedom in the world.
In the annual report of the evangelical organization Open Doors, Afghanistan surpasses North Korea for the first time. In Asia, 2 out of every 5 Christians live in a region where they suffer persecution. and the increase of persecution in India stands out. In 2021, persecution against Christians around the world continued to grow. There are more than 360 million, 1 in 7 worldwide, who experience a high level of persecution and discrimination in their own country. For the first time in 20 years, North Korea is no longer considered the most dangerous country, but only because of the worsening situation in Afghanistan, where the return of the Taliban has made the situation of hidden Christians even more dramatic. Among the 100 countries monitored by Open Doors, the number of those with a level of persecution defined as high, very high, or extreme increased from 74 to 76. In the period studied, 5,898 Christians were killed, an average of 16 per day. 5,110 churches were attacked or closed. 6,175 Christians were detained without trial, and 3,829 were kidnapped. Among the 10 countries with the highest number of attacks, 7 are in sub-Saharan Africa, but the Open Doors report does not fail to highlight the increased control by authoritarian governments in Asia. It also highlights the increase in violence against Christians in India. And precisely from that country comes the news that the attacks against Christians in the last 9 months now amount to more than 300.
Abortion is on his way to being considered a right within the European Union. The new president of the Council, the Frenchman Macron, has said he will do everything in his power to do so.
French President Emmanuel Macron has called for the right to abortion to be added to the European Union's Charter of Fundamental Rights. Speaking to members of the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Macron said that the Bill of Rights needs to be revised. We must update this bill to be more explicit in recognizing the right to abortion or in protecting the environment, he said. The letter to the European Union, ratified by the member states in 2000, recognizes the right to life but does not mention abortion. The European Parliament adopted a report in 2021 that describes abortion as essential health care and redefines conscientious objection as a refusal of medical care. Assembly members voted by 378 votes in favor, 255 against, and 42 abstentions to adopt the text, known as the Matic Report, at a plenary session in Brussels, Belgium. Most of the 27 European Union member states allow abortion on request or on broad social grounds, except Malta and Poland, which have strong pro-life laws.
Cardinal Sandoval has been condemned in Mexico for speaking out politically. He had warned Catholics of the risk of winning the election of an abortionist party.
The Superior Chamber of the Electoral Tribunal of the Judiciary of Mexico upheld the sentence against a cardinal and a priest for encouraging a Catholic vote in defense of life, family, and the common good in the framework of the 2021 federal elections. Those convicted are the Emeritus Archbishop of Guadalajara, Cardinal Sandoval, and Father Mario Angel Flores, former rector of the Pontifical University of Mexico. According to the court, they transgressed the principle of church-state separation recognized in the country's constitution. In presenting the matter, the president of the Superior Chamber recalled that ministers of worship in Mexico are prohibited from proselytizing for or against any political party, any candidacy, or any political association in order to safeguard the principles of the democratic system. The process against Mexican bishops and priests was opened due to complaints from deputies of the Morena party of Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. In the case of Cardinal Sandoval Iñiguez, the sanction arises from his invitation not to vote for those in power because dictatorship is coming or freedom is lost because it is a communist, socialist system that enslaves. The cardinal also said that in this electoral process was at stake also the family, the good of the family and of life, because this government has adopted a gender ideology. In a statement signed by the President and Secretary General of the Mexican Episcopal Conference, the Archbishop of Monterrey, Rogelio Cabrera, and the Bishop of Cuernavaca, Ramon Castro, respectively, the bishops of the country criticized the judicial resolution.
Our editorial this week is dedicated to commenting on the unjustified attacks on Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI.
A little over a year ago, the Cardinal Archbishop of Cologne, Bishop Wilkie, was accused in a report prepared by a team of lawyers of complicity in cases of pederasty, of not having done enough to punish and prevent the abuse of some priests. Wilkie put that report in the hands of experts who demonstrated that it was a biased, partial, unreliable report, and what he did was to commission another report to another team of lawyers, and when he had that report, he put it in the hands of the police. That report exculpated him completely. When the events occurred, Wilkie was Archbishop of Berlin. It exculpated him, but implicated the then Vicar General of the Diocese of Cologne, Bishop Hess, who was later transferred as bishop to the Diocese of Hamburg. Hess immediately placed his office at the disposal of the Pope, who kept him in office and didn't ask him for any kind of responsibility. Curiously, however, to Wilkie, who had been exonerated of all responsibility, he ordered him to withdraw from the government of the diocese for a few months. He has now returned. Well, the police who received Wilkie's report are investigating Monsignor Hess, who has already been summoned as a witness. Summoning someone as a witness is not incriminating, but he certainly cannot lie, because then he would give false testimony, while the accused can deny the facts. Well, there is that to say, and everyone draws his own conclusions. Wilkie is one of the few conservative bishops in Germany, whereas Hess is liberal and even very liberal. After this came the scandal of the Diocese of Traveres, a scandal involving 3 bishops. The current bishop, Bishop Ackerman, who has been at the head of the diocese for many years, his vicar general at the time, Monsignor Batzing, Bishop Batzing, who is now, after his appointment as bishop, Bishop of Limburg and President of the German Bishops' Conference, and Ackerman's predecessor in office, Monsignor Marx, who was later transferred to Munich. He is now Cardinal Archbishop of Munich. All 3 are accused, implicated with sufficient evidence of having tolerated the behavior of pedophile priests. Bishop Marx put his office also, as Hess of Hamburg had done before, put his office at the disposal of the Pope, and the Pope didn't want to accept his resignation. Well, the police are on it, because the matter has, it seems, still a long way to go. It must also be said that everyone can draw their own conclusions, that all 3 are liberal bishops who support the synod that is being held in Germany. All, Ackerman, as well as Batzing, president of the Bishops' Conference, and Marx. Well, this is the background. Now, a team of lawyers, the same team that prepared the biased report that was rejected and discredited by Cardinal Wilkie, that same team of lawyers has submitted a report on what happened in this diocese, in the Diocese of Munich, in the last 70 years. Well, that report brings up again the issue of Pope Benedict XVI in the brief time he was Archbishop of Munich. In 2010, a real annus horribilis for Pope Benedict, In 2010, he was already accused of this. He was accused of collusion or of not having done enough to prevent 4 priests from committing crimes of pederasty. Benedict XVI defended himself. He defended himself and proved that he was innocent. And despite the fierce attack of the media, at least I remember it very well, that clamp that made, for example, the New York Times and all its allies, the BBC and all its allies, press and television, despite that accusation came to nothing. Well, now we are back to the same thing again, the same case, with the same accusation, curiously by the same law firm that made a biased report that was thrown out and that showed that what they were doing was totally biased. What are they looking for? I think it's legitimate to ask this question. If a person is being accused of something that he has already been accused of and has been proven innocent, why bring up the same thing again? What are they looking for? It seems clear to me that what is being sought is to deteriorate not so much anymore the person of Benedict XVI, who is 94 years old and in very fragile health, but his personality, his prestige. Benedict XVI has been the great champion who has fought and has put all his energy and wisdom at the service of the interpretation of the Second Vatican Council in continuity with the Word of God and with the tradition of the Church. Within this hermeneutic of continuity, we must also include respect for the celebration of the Latin traditional Mass in the rite prior to the Second Vatican Council, achieving what is called liturgical peace. These attacks, I insist, curiously, precisely by the same agency that publishes a tendentious information against Cardinal Walkie, which is shown to be false, these attacks are directed against the work of Benedict XVI. Eroding the character, taking away the prestige of the character, they want to end his legacy, they want to end the defense that he has made of the continuity of Vatican II and all that preceded it. But it is also very significant the fact that the media keep a resounding silence. They tiptoe if they enter with the things that do affect the bishops who are liberal. Nothing is demanded of them, and on the other hand, there are indications against them. Well, I believe that we are facing a clear case of manipulation, and that what we have to do is very simple. We have to do what Cardinal Walkie did. Put that report in the hands of the police. That report is taken to the police and let the police investigate and let the justice system act. The victims have the right to receive justice. And certainly they do not have to be used as a stone thrown in the internal disputes of the Church. But while justice acts, and we will see what happens, while justice, the police investigate and justice acts, I think we have the right to defend a man who is being slandered once again, precisely for having always wanted to be faithful to Jesus Christ and the teachings of the Church. Let us pray for Pope Benedict. I trust that he is not aware of these accusations of the previous ones. He already said that it was a biased and manipulated report and that it was pure propaganda. See you next week, God willing.
If you would like to keep up to date with what is happening in the Church, you can visit us in our news page, www.magnificat.tv. See you next week, God willing.